Welcome back to the show. Today, I'm excited and honored to be joined by a dynamic voice in the world of media, public policy, healthcare, and the host of Dr. Maria Show on Michael and TV. Thanks for joining the show, Dr. Maria Ryan.
It is my pleasure to be on Global View.
Thank you, Dr. Maria. We follow your incredible work, your insightful commentary on political events, and you experienced it firsthand the fallout of the Biden administration and America come back with the election, the second election, I would say, of President Donald J. Trump. What do you think America is at right now? What is the shape of America?
We've had trying times in our history of America before. The Roosevelt administration had lots of communists around him. People tend to forget, we move on, new generations come. But I have to say, the Biden administration, when I look back in history, was the worst administration in our American history. Not only was he a corrupt president who sold his office when he was vice president, he was demented. He was not physically or mentally able to do the job. And we saw the worst policies ever. It seemed like when I had a radio show with Mayor Rudy Giuliani, every day I was saying bad news for the American people. The pandemic, it was such a affront on our civil liberties. We did not follow the science. We were lied to repeatedly. And then the border. The border drove me crazy. And it wasn't the simple facts of the massive numbers. It was the crime that was coming across the border. As we all know now, the fentanyl surge, over 100,000 Americans being poisoned with fentanyl every year. The fake pills, they would look like an oxycodone that you would get from a pharmacist, but no, they were had the precursors in China, worked with Mexican cartels, and it'd be full of fentanyl, and it would kill people. But one thing, Simona and George, I was so passionate about was the children. We learned that in these caravans, the women and children were repeatedly raped. But how about when they reached our border? Some of them came without any relative and they were put into sex trafficking rings. And I couldn't get anyone in the Biden administration to do anything about it. I called my Congress people, my senators. Nobody seemed to care. And now we have the Trump administration, and it seems like within days, he shut down that border. And now through Tom Homan, they're trying to find anybody who's coming illegally, starting with the worst of the worst, and getting them out of our country. Unfortunately, the court systems are so corrupt and so politically motivated. They think they can tell a president what to do. And I do respect the law, but there's a couple of verdicts that they came up with that they have no right to tell a president how he's going to handle foreign policy. So my personal advice is ignore them. What are they going to do? We should continue to deport, especially the worst of the worst. And tariffs? How dare they talk to us about courts? I mean, about what we do with tariffs. We all know why we're doing the tariffs. One, to have an even playing field, because since World War II, it's America who held up all the other nations, especially Europe. And I understand we want to be kind. We had the resources to rebuild, but that was a long time ago. And now we have to be fair. But the other thing is, we want a little revenue, right? President Trump really wants to give the American people a tax break, and he wants to earn revenue through the tariffs. So I am very pleased with how President Trump is going about most things. There are a few things that, I'm a little critical about, but overall, it's really good. But here's the rub. We have him and some cabinet members who are America First, law and order, justice. And in the past, I remember Sean Hannity saying, oh, it's only the top echelon of the FBI that's bad. bull. I call bull ticky on that one. It's vertical. The corruption and the activism goes all the way down. It's not everybody, but don't ever think it's just the top of the CIA, top of the FBI. It goes down, and it's going to take a lot of work, years, I'm afraid, to get rid of them.
Mhm.
Yeah, Dr. Mary, I agree with everything you just said. So you've had President Obama and President Bush before who dealt with issues that some judges on both the right and the left had issues with, but you never had this issue with judges. I would call them activist judges, try to obstruct their policies and file these injunctions. So my first question is, why do you think that these judges have taken it upon themselves at a time when President Trump is more popular than ever? The Democrats are the least popular they've been probably in the last 30 years, to take it upon themselves to try to obstruct the MAGA movement. Do you think it's only isolated to the judge level, or do you think something else is going on with this type of obstruction move?
I think it's beyond the judges, although you're right, they are activists.
Yeah.
Activists with a Marxist ideology. And let's face it, they have Trump derangement syndrome. I am looking forward to the day. In psychiatry, there's this Bible called the DSM 5. It gets updated periodically, but any provider, anybody can look in it and say, oh, my patient's having XYZ symptoms. It could be this diagnosis. I look forward to the day when Trump derangement syndrome shows up in the DSM 5. But it's dangerous, George. And it's funny. The Democrats put out there exactly what they're going to do. Like Chuck Schumer, after the election and President Trump won, Chuck Schumer says, I'm not worried about it because we have the courts.
Yeah.
Oh, you do? The courts are supposed to be blind, right? Justice is supposed to be blind, not care if you're a Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, black, white. It's supposed to be fair and to the law. And that was so prophetic. One of the things that was done under the radar that nobody paid any attention to during the Biden administration is they appointed record numbers of district judges and state judges, and they were all of that ilk, a Marxist ideology where they believe in one world doctrine and not really lovers of America. So what do we do, right? This is the frustrating thing. What do we do? I ask a lot of lawyers, what's the process when you have a judge who's not really going with the law? He's going with his emotions or his hatred or her hatred. And it's a high bar. It's supposed to revolve more around high crimes. To me, there's no higher crime than obstructing the commander in chief who's looking out for the security of this nation with deporting, people. The tariffs, I don't even get what ground they're on. But again, I never have broken the law. Well, I shouldn't say that. I do speed a little bit. But I'm not a person who's broken the law. I would never advocate for that. But I feel like President Trump is on correct grounds if he continued deporting people. What are they going to do? They can't arrest him.
I couldn't agree more. As an immigrant myself who came in the legal way, right? So I had to go through a long pattern and scrutiny, which is right. It's just right. But I noticed just what you pointed out. There is a clinical condition, and there is this Trump derangement syndrome based upon all, even institution and justice feel some sort of entitled to cheat, entitled to break the law, entitled to hate. We have this amount of hatred and weaponization of justice that is unpunished and unprecedented. But we have the very privileged position to have at the head of the FBI someone like Kash Patel, who participated into exposing all this injustice, all this corruption during the Biden administration. He knows exactly who these people are, what they're capable of, and what they have done. So right now, it's unrealistic to expect that everything gets resolved in the space of 1 month. So obviously, I completely disagree with everyone who expected the rest happening like as it took
Right.
place. But I believe they're working and cooking something very good to deliver justice. I believe that. I wanted to know your opinion.
Yes, I too believe they're working towards it, and I agree. Everybody thinks things are handled like that. There's a process. They have to do proper investigations and look at everything they have to be looking at, right? There's election integrity issues, which we have to look at that. So there's election integrity, there's rogue judges, there's the auto pen issue. Was it really President Biden instructing somebody to use that auto pen, or did staffers or somebody's direct the staffers to use it? So there's investigation after investigation. I know they've taken up the mantle to look for some of these missing children that came across the border as well. So there's so many issues. There's literally a weaponization group now headed by Ed Martin. So there's a lot of work to do. So yeah, it's going to take a while, but I feel like you do that the heart and the motivation is in the right place, that we just have to be patient.
Thank you. And I'm happy people listen to this message, because I see many people riled up on X particularly. And I would say just take a breath. We are the
Yes.
right way.
Yes. Even when the stock market went crazy when he first started talking about tariffs, I had family members who were saying, "Oh my God, my 401k." I said, "Don't look at it. Just don't look at it. The stock market always does this. You know, it's the long run we got to worry about. So just take a chill pill."
So, Dr. Mayer, you think that we do need to have these people be held accountable? You don't think this is something that President Trump should just throw underneath the dustbin of history, forget about it, and move on in some sort of unifying way? You think that accountability should happen?
Yes, because it's not unifying. We say it is. And in 2016, when he won in 2016, he gave Hillary Clinton a pass and thinking it's going to unify everybody if I don't go after her. The problem is he wasn't going after her because she was an opponent. She broke the law. And it was so much more than using her own personal laptop with classified information. She told her aides to bleach bit the whole thing. She obstructed the investigation. Plus, there is evidence she was aware of the whole Russian collusion narrative. And you had a fallout from that, as well as a lot of other people. And I think no matter what party, if we sweep things under the rug, it erodes and erodes the American people's trust. It's like, oh, you guys are politicians, so you're above the law, but us peasant people, you know, we do one thing wrong, we park wrong, you get a parking ticket, we're held account to everything. And some of these people, it borders on treason. So I look at it as not going after a political opponent, but holding people to account in showing the American people that nobody, this is their favorite line, nobody is above the law.
I agree 100% with you.
Mm-hmm.
And there is also something to say. As you know, I'm Italian, so I look at the Trump administration also as an outsider perspective. And never before United States have been respected and feared at the same time as much as they are now, which is strength by force. No, sorry, it's not force, it's like by respect. No matter the political position of different leaders in Europe, of course, our great leader, Giorgia Meloni, loves absolutely President Trump, and it's a great synergy happening right now. But you have also liberal leaders like Ursula von der Leyen that finally praised Donald Trump on social media, though she's at the opposite of his politics. This shows one thing, that the United States is still the leading country in the world and is back in a position of strength and respect. How do you see this power being played out in foreign policy?
I do see us in that strength mode. I do get a little concerned of some of our movements, and some of it, God bless President Trump, was his ego by repeatedly saying that the Russian-Ukraine war would have never happened if he was president. You have to understand the psychology of madmen. And Putin is a madman. Zelensky's no better. He's corrupt as all get out, but Putin likes to kill people. And that really rubbed him wrong. And it put that whole negotiation on a backwards trail. Like there was nothing that happened in May. June 2nd, they're supposed to meet again in Istanbul to talk about a ceasefire. But Putin, all this time that they've been supposed to be in negotiations, is moving in Ukraine, continuing to bomb now. He's now close to a NATO nation. He's not right. Putin, for a long time, I don't know if he's taking steroids, what it is, for some kind of ailment. There is something wrong with this man. It's affecting his mind as well. And you can't poke that bear. We got to stroke his ego a little bit and be letting him kind of take the lead. He wants to retain some of that property in Ukraine. And Zelensky's going to have to say that's okay. That's the only way this war is going to end. The Russians already said a ceasefire doesn't mean the war is going to end. They want to go away with their piece of the pie. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying it's crazy because President Trump does 99.9% of everything correct. So it's terrible that I'm pointing out this one little thing, but it's important to learn from it that you have to know your opponents. You have to know what triggers them. Mm-hmm. And for us to really have peace in that region, we're going to have to play it a different way. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, Dr. Maria, that's going off on the foreign policy topic. You recently had the president of Serbia on your excellent show. I think it was the same day that I was being interviewed on your amazing show too. So it was actually wonderful to watch you interview him in real time. Can you give me your insights of how you think the Trump administration's pivoting towards the Balkans, the Serbia-Albania conflict, what you think is going to happen in other conflict zones in the world besides Russia, Ukraine with the Trump administration? Do you see peace coming or escalation?
I do see peace coming in those regions. And I think right now the Balkans aren't their priority. And the State Department is keeping the line of the Biden administration and, quite frankly, the Democrats before Biden. And they were pretty much anti-Balkans, pro-Muslims. And that's hurt, the president of Serbia, and I interviewed the president of the Republic of Srpska. And they are small, but they're Christian. They want peace, but they do recognize that previous administrations have been so pro-Muslim and Christians are getting killed in that region and feel like the United States is not aware of that. So they are hoping for relationships with the United States, very positive relationships. The president of Serbia was just put it right out there, even though he's very small, but he's like, I want to trade with the United States. I have some things, I want to do things. So I'm sure that the State Department's got some emergencies right now and it's got some fires to put out, that I'm hoping through some of these interviews to see what these presidents and world leaders want, that maybe the State Department will have a different strategy with the Balkans. You can never have enough friends, that's for sure.
And talking about world leaders, so we have a new leader in the spiritual world, a religious leader, the American Pope.
Yes.
Recently elected. Well, this chosen by the Spirit. So we discussed this with a wonderful show of Rudy, and we talked about how Italians sees the Pope and which is the impact of this papacy on Catholicism overall. Do you think that being American Pope, this will influence and spread Catholicism in United States farther, or it will be considered just another Pope?
I actually think you hit the nail on the head there. I think because he's American, because pictures have been on the media of him like a normal Joe at a baseball game. The fact that Vice President J.D. Vance is a new convert to Catholicism and openly talks about it, I think that's very impactful, especially on the youth. I am optimistic with Pope Leo. I was not a big fan of Pope Francis. I felt like he hurt the Catholic religion, and Pope Francis would come out all the time against President Trump or against having any kind of security at our border. He had no right to do that. To me, that sowed hate. It's as a religious leader, preacher, preach, don't, call out a president, don't call out a country. He really alienated Americans. But I am very excited for Pope Leo, even though a lot of people don't realize this. He was only picked about a year ago to become a cardinal, handpicked by Pope Francis. So everybody was scared. Oh my, he's going to continue the Pope Francis doctrine. But I think he's going to be his own man. And he's got to remember that he's representing the good Lord, not politics.
I love this Pope as well. Very
Yes.
excited about that.
Absolutely. And I have to say, as a born and raised Chicago guy myself, that he's from Chicago, that was a big thing for me. And he's a White Sox fan, which are my baseball team that been doing very bad recently. But the last time he was at a game, they won the World Series. So that's just a little side note of why I think, like you said, he acts like an average Joe. I think he's not going to be as political as the last Pope. And clearly, we have to let politics stay out of religion, and I think it just does more bad than good. So that's my overall assessment of that.
What's funny, when it was when we had this new Pope Leo, I had the calls from Italy, including my family, saying, "Oh, look, the new Pope is from Chicago, like your husband." So I had all this call from Italy. The Pope is from Chicago, like George. Is the reference for Italians.
No, it's a big
wonderful.
Deal. It's a big deal. And Dr. Mary, I think like you nailed it. I think the world is healing. I think America is the economy's ramping back up. I think America is respected once again. I think you nailed all these incredible topics with your incredible insights. And I really want people to make sure that they're following your work. We're going to get people follow you and make sure they're keeping updated with all the incredible things you're up to.
Thank you. Well, I do have the Dr. Maria show on LindellTV.com, and that's Monday, Wednesday, Fridays at 9 p.m. But you could get it anytime. That's the nice thing about our medium. It lives on the internet, so people can watch anytime. And then I'm on X at Maria Ryan NH for New Hampshire. I love my state like I love my country, and I feel like nobody from New Hampshire can do anything wrong.
I love this patriotism.
Yes.
Dr. Maria, it's also an incredible pleasure talking to you. It's always great to hear for your incredible thoughts and commentaries. And I invite people to tune into your show. I watch it, I follow it, and I love it. So thank you so much for joining us. I hope you will join us again soon.
I would love that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.